I want to thank our reader, Nancy Wirtz. I love the way she reads. And Gary Lynn Floyd and our CSL music team for the wonderful music that supports the message. And this month of April, we're talking about caring. And our message today is getting squeezed. You're invited to see how getting squeezed may be caring and may not be, depending upon the situation. We all have moments when life pressures us, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Does pressure mean love? Is getting squeezed really a form of caring? Well, stay with us and learn more about handling those times when we feel we're getting squeezed or living in a vice grip. Before I continue, let me give you your question for the week. What is the one choice you might make today to remember real love is not forceful, to trust the flow, and to create spacious love and true caring? One more time. What is the one choice you might make today to remember real love is not forceful, to trust the flow, and to create spacious love and true caring? Have you ever squeezed a tube of toothpaste too hard and suddenly there's more mess than you planned for? Well, life can be like that sometimes. We get squeezed, and as we heard in the reading, all our stuff comes out in ways we didn't expect it to. I know I've had that experience in my life. Squeezed, and what came out was definitely not the most loving and kind words. How about you? Many of us grew up hearing from our parents or from our teachers or those who supposedly cared about us the most that being pressured means we were loved and valued. If I push you, it's because I care. Remember those words? I think it's time that we ask ourselves if caring requires squeezing, or is there another way? In our philosophy, we're reminded that love is always the answer, and there's always the way of love. A Course in Miracles tells us, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Real love is not forceful. It does not demand performance under pressure. It does not require us to be bullied in any way or at any level to do what we came here to do exactly what is ours and ours alone to do. Lao Tzu reminded us, when you let go of what you are, you become what you might be. When we release the pressure to be something specific, when we stop squeezing ourselves into expectations, we create space for our highest self to emerge. That's exactly what Lao Tzu was telling us. And I love how Catherine Economou says, love is not something we need to qualify for. It's not given based on performance, but on presence. Yes, our presence here is enough for us to deserve being loved, and loved in a kind and caring way. Love is open space. It is not a vice grip. So let's do a little exercise that I call loosen your grip. Close your eyes and make a fist, a really tight fist. Feel the tension in your hand and in your arm and possibly even in your breath. And now slowly release that fist. Feel the relaxation move through your body. That's the difference between pressured love and spacious caring. Okay, so I know when I was working as an independent contractor that deadlines often helped me to work more efficiently. And yet, in my personal life, pressure never seems to work out very well. Perhaps it was just that a part of me always resisted being told what to do or where I wasn't measuring up. The truth is, I know that I would much rather be cared about in a kind way than pressured or manipulated with compliments or some other way into doing something that I'd rather not do. How about you? Does the honey catches more flies than vinegar approach work for you as well? Kindness is the honey, and pressure is the vinegar to me. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." A man is what he thinks about all day long. If we constantly think we must push ourselves or others, we create a world where only pressure exists. And frankly, that world is not a world that is kind and loving. So what if, instead of pushing, we decided to trust the divine flow? I know I say often that everything is in divine order and God is in charge. And I remind myself daily that there truly is no spot where God is not. These reminders keep me from feeling squeezed by events that happen to be happening in the world, and definitely remembering there's no spot that God is not helps my days feel more in sync with who I want to be, just in case I get squeezed that day. As our reading reminded us, when we make self-care a priority, the juice that will come out of you when squeezed will reflect those loving and centered qualities rather than the negative ones that come out under stress. Now, I know I want my juice to be the loving and centered variety. Don't you? I think Ernest Holmes had the right idea when he taught us the universe is not something to get through, but something to grow through. Squeezing makes us feel like we're just getting through life. Trusting in that divine flow allows us to grow through life. And you might want to notice that spiritual growth can sometimes be like baking bread. You need space for it to rise. And if you squeeze it too soon, all you have is a rock-hard biscuit. So be gentle on yourself and allow yourself some space to grow. Now, Sue asked us this question. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? What Lao Tzu is implying is that caring is not about forcing the moment. It's about trusting that when we stop squeezing, when we patiently wait and the mud settles, clarity emerges on its own. And then what comes out of us is loving and caring. Let's try another spiritual exercise. This one I call the Divine Float Meditation. Take a deep, nourishing breath. And I invite you to close your eyes and imagine yourself floating downstream in a river, just allowing the current of spirit to carry you wherever the river of your life is going. Breathe that in. Let go of the need to control every moment and just relax, moving downstream. Just as our meditation suggested today, just breathing in and breathing out. Trusting that love does not require force. And now come back and just notice how you feel. Do you feel a little bit more centered, a bit more relaxed? From that place of being centered and relaxed, I invite you to create space for love, which is truly the language of true caring. Curtis Hopkins, known as the Teachers of Teachers, spoke about the power of our words. Your word is the wand that shapes your world. How often do our words come out not exactly the way we intended, and we create disharmony? Hey, it happens to me all the time, it seems. What if we truly saw our words as magic wands that shape the world we create around us? Think about when you're squeezed. What comes out? Complaint or compassion? Judgment or joy? If we're thinking about Emma Curtis Hopkins' message about our word, it might more often come out as compassion and joy. Remember that old adage about when life gives you lemons, make lemonade? Well, do you produce lemonade, or do you let the sourness of the lemon impact how you react when you get squeezed? And then there's when life gives you traffic, and making lemonade isn't really an option. Sometimes the best thing we can do then is just not honk our horns. Really, isn't it about noticing when we're feeling squeezed and trusting the flow of life? Trusting divine order, trusting that God is in it somewhere, breathing and letting the mud settle so we can come from a place of love rather than anger or frustration is definitely great advice. When I get squeezed on the highway, somebody cuts me off or whatever, I try to remember when I was frantically taking my son, who was in a coma at the time, to the hospital. How do I know that that driver that cut me off isn't in an emergency situation? It certainly helps how I feel and shifts me not feeling squeezed by the traffic or that particular driver. Paramahansa Yogananda said, "Live quietly in the moment and see the beauty of all before you. The future will take care of itself." When we trust that love is present in this very moment, that God is in it somewhere, we don't need to pressure ourselves, or anyone else for that matter, to prove that. How can we do that? Here's another spiritual practice. Speak only love for 24 hours. Yep, a whole entire 24 hours. For the next day, intentionally filter your words through caring, not stress. And notice how it shifts your experience. If you don't make it the whole 24 hours, hey, start over. Try another 24 hours. Essentially and eventually, you'll succeed and feel the joy of spreading love and not being a squeezer in life. A Course in Miracles says, "You are not a victim of the world you see." You are not a victim of the world you see, and we can create a world of caring by refusing to equate pressure with love. We never need feel like a victim. So let us create the life that we want to live and the world that we want to live in, one filled with love. How do we do that? Well, here are a few practical ways to release the squeeze and create spacious caring. The first one is pause before reacting. I've mentioned the pause before. If we just take 3 breaths before we respond, it allows us to think about responding with love and not stress. Another one is learn to ask, is this love or control or squeezing? Before pushing someone, even yourself, check the motivation. If someone is pushing, gently notice your own boundaries and be clear about expressing them. And if you're pushing yourself, do the same thing. Why are you pushing yourself? And is it love or control? And a third one is give caring and kindness without expectation. When you truly care for somebody and are kind to them, it's not a contract, it's a gift. And only gifts that are given freely can truly be defined to be a gift. So let's look at some other words of Yogananda. He said, be calmly active and actively calm. It's such a simple and beautiful phrase because caring doesn't mean doing nothing. And it certainly doesn't mean frantic squeezing. True caring and true love moves from a place of calm strength. Ernest Holmes once said, love is the self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. Now that phrase, the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation, has always struck me as precisely the way I want to express myself. I know I don't do it always, but I'd rather certainly create than squeeze. And when squeezed, I want to create love and kindness, not react to something. What I know to be absolutely true is that being squeezed is only love if it comes in the form of a gentle hug when I need one. It's never about pressuring or manipulating me to do what is not in my own best interest. So in summary, how might you learn to gently love and care? Remember, real love is not forceful. Pressure and being squeezed is not love. Loosen your grip and stop squeezing yourself and create space for your highest self to emerge. And trust the flow. Remember that everything is in divine order. God is in it somewhere because there's no spot where God is not. And also remember, as our reading told us, that self-care helps your juice be loving and kind. So create spacious love and true caring. And notice when you're squeezed and trust the flow of life. Remember Curtis Hopkins' words, your word is the wand that shapes your world. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is it I so willingly, energetically, and effortlessly remember real love is not forceful? Trust the flow and create spacious love and true caring. So your challenge for this week is to make a conscious choice to practice spacious love and caring. And notice when you feel you're getting squeezed, and release the need to squeeze yourself or others or your life. And of course, I always invite you to adopt a couple of the practices to strengthen your ability to avoid being squeezed or squeezing someone else. Use the ones I suggested or make up some of your own. Let's pray. We take a deep, nourishing breath and we just settle into something in this message that touched your heart, that spoke to you about how you can create more spacious love and spacious caring. It might have been a quote. It might have been just a line that was said. What I know to be the truth is right where we are, God is guiding us through our life. And if we just trust that flow, if we can, each of us, just learn to trust and let that mud settle so that we can clearly see exactly the next steps, exactly what to say, exactly what to do that'll be loving and kind. I am so grateful that you decided to spend some time with us today. Grateful that you've listened to this message about getting squeezed and are more aware now of when you are getting squeezed or when maybe you happen to be the squeezer. And it's from that gratitude that I release these words into that divine yes, knowing they're already done. Knowing that the only squeezing that we're doing this week is those gentle hugs that uplift people. So I am knowing that the word has been said, the yes has been said. So I say amen, and we can affirm it together. And so it is. And I continue to thank everyone for supporting our community. It just touches my heart every time I see a donation, be it from a check or Zelle or Venmo or however it's coming in. I'm so grateful that we can continue to come into your lives through this online process. And I hope that you'll plan to join us on Mother's Day, where we'll have a watch party and a big party to just celebrate mothers and also celebrate our 11th anniversary of full-time services. So plan to be here, and I hope to see you then. Enjoy our offertory song.